Well, ladies, I think it is time.
Time for what?
Time for enlightenment.
Oh.
We need to return to the church.
So which door?
Belief or disbelief?
What happens if we choose the wrong door?
Heretic. Finally, I got to a theater this week, and I was talked into seeing this movie after knowing next to nothing about it. All I knew was the general premise, that it starred Hugh Grant, and also I had seen a quick scene or snippet of it on Twitter that made it obvious that Grant has never seen Star Wars. If you know what I'm talking about, then...
Beg your pardon?
Jar Jar. Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar, excuse me.
Never mind.
Yeah, you've probably seen that too. Other than that, I went into this film completely blind. I didn't even see the trailer, and man, was that a very, very good idea. This movie works best when you go in knowing the least about it as possible, which, for making a review, is going to be extremely hard to write, especially since this is a no spoiler review. So, oh no, I'm in danger. Damn it, I'll try anyway. Believe me when I say that this is probably one of the most interesting and well-written films of this year, combined with great acting, genuinely fun twists, and a message that is both simple, but also extremely nuanced and completely unique. And while the film leans heavily to one side of the particular conversation it's having, it still wraps around nicely and discusses the topic from the other side as well, and from multiple perspectives. So I really like that kind of creativity and focus. It works really, really well in this movie's context. The film is also well paced, well acted, has very interesting sets, some wonderfully lovely tension, and is just an all-around extremely solid film that honestly I would love to see again, knowing what I know now about it. It's not perfect. There are one or two nitpicks that I have, but I'll get into that later. But I sincerely think that this is definitely a contender for one of the best movies of the year. As usual, I'm getting ahead of myself, so what is this movie even about? I'm going to be intentionally vague here and probably in a lot of my descriptions of this film just for the benefit of those who haven't seen it yet, so you can keep watching and not be scared that I'm gonna spoil anything or give you ideas for how the movie actually is and all these things, but here we go. Heretic follows a duo of young female Mormon missionaries named Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton as they visit the home of a man named Mr. Reed, who requested to learn more about the Church of Latter-day Saints. Once they meet him, it becomes obvious that Mr. Reed has some sort of ulterior motive for the two. That's all I can say, and I highly recommend you give the movie a watch. But let me at least break down what works and what doesn't. First off, the acting is phenomenal, of course, especially from Hugh Grant, but I mean, come on, it's Hugh Grant. It's gonna be good. He goes on a lot long-winded monologues in this movie too. I guess you can call them lectures, because they're all scientifically and historically sound as well, with visuals to match, so it's like sitting in a lecture hall a couple of times, because he just goes on and on, but it's never dull. It's never just watching him drone on, like I said. It has the visual things to help. And you also get Barnes and Paxton responding and talking to him. He's asking questions, and it's fun like that. It's really interesting. It helps that the monologues are genuinely interesting like that, and that they're thought-provoking too in a philosophical way. I know the main thing is talking about religion, but it dives into a whole bunch of other side pieces to that as well. The sisters themselves are really fun to watch too. I love how both of them are smart in their own ways and have their own insecurities and reactions to everything that Mr. Reed is saying and talking about. Sister Barnes is played by Sophie Thatcher, who is more of the straight-faced girl in this film, while her companion, Sister Paxton, is played by Chloe East. And these two two girls work so extremely well off each other. It feels like they have a genuine friendship and working relationship as they not only chat with each other, but they also give each other signals and back each other up with everything going on. It's really, really good just to watch all three of these actors interact with each other in interesting and very creative scenarios and ways. I really like the scenarios in this. Just extremely solid acting all around. I love all of them. Nobody did a bad job. The tension and the pacing in this movie is also just fantastic stuff. There's a lot of buildup and a lot of foreshadowing, so much so that I feel this movie is one of the rare ones that deserves multiple watches. Just thinking back on it now, there are so many lines and visual parallels with the settings that come back much later in the movie. It'd be really cool to go back and spot them early on a second watch. Plus, the philosophical aspects and the monologues are so genuinely thought-provoking that listening to them again and maybe getting a different view during a second watch would be cool, as well as seeing how the girls are reacting to it, knowing how the movie plays out. It's all just so good. I do want to point out one scene in particular. I'm not gonna explain what goes on, but the room with two doors scene. Everything that takes place in that room is probably the best in the movie. Some seriously good shit. And after that though, there is definitely a hard line where the movie starts to falter slightly, but only slightly. After that scene, the pacing kind of slows down and the movie shifts to a very different tone that had me worried for a moment that it was going to be something it's not, before working its way back to being on track. And I found that it was so very smart. There are a couple of plot holes, but nothing too major that couldn't be easily explained away, so I'll give the film a pass for that. I do wish the movie had some more interesting cinematography aspects though. It really only gets super creative near the end with one particularly cool visual that's never played with before or after. There's also a couple very short bits in the first half that have at least interesting camera placements, or they play with the perspective for a specific shot. I really wish I could talk more. I wish there was more like that. There's really only those three I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a couple more maybe, but they just aren't as prevalent or noteworthy as those three. Now, I really wish I could talk more about the message in this movie, like I could with Joker 2. By the way, watch my review of that. That film is way smarter than you might give it credit for, and I explain why. Check it out, please. But the surprise in Heretic is well worth it. If I had to compare this movie to some other film I've seen, I'd probably say maybe it's similar to Barbarian. I think the writing and directing duo of Scott Beck and Brian Woods really hit a home run here, but I mean, they're good at writing movies. Like, they wrote A Quiet Place and Haunt, but then again, they also wrote and directed the Adam Driver flop 65, but they did do that Boogeyman movie too, and I kinda like that. I don't know. If I were to improve this movie, honestly, that'd be a little difficult. There's not much to really change here at all. The story is solid, the acting is great. I don't really know what to add or take away in that regard, besides maybe just fixing a couple of the nitpicks and cleaning up those plot holes. There are only a couple that I didn't even think of until a day later, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. But thinking about it, I already know how you can easily explain it away, so I feel like that would have made sense adding maybe a minute or two into the script just to fix that up. That would have made more sense, but who knows? I think it's fine. I don't think we really need to go into that. So I think this is just a really damn good little movie with a fantastic question at its core. I don't understand why it wasn't advertised more. This is a very nice, very thought-provoking film. I'm not going to say that you have to go into it thinking that, oh, I'm gonna shut my brain off. It's a thriller. It's a psychological thriller. You have to think about it. People are going to be challenging you with their point of views, and there's 3 different point of views here to go into. So, I'd say this deserves attention. You can't just turn your brain off and expect to have a good time. You'll probably get confused and get a little lost in the story. You need to pay some attention, but it's still such a good movie. I don't think that really matters. So I highly, highly recommend that you see this movie before it leaves theaters. It is an absolute gem. A24 is yet another hit on its hands. So Jesus, A24 knocking it out of the park lately. What is with their track record? Just, Jesus, they're letting all the creativity just go, and I love it. It's so good. Keep them coming. By all means, this is a must watch. Give it a watch. Go ahead. So ultimately, Heretic gets a 9 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. I know, finally back in theaters. There were 2 other movies I wanted to see, being Terrifier 3 and Transformers 1, because I've heard fantastic things about Transformers 1. Terrifier 3 should be coming to streaming soon, I hope. I hope it's not like Terrifier 2. I'll check that out when it drops. Otherwise, I know Wicked is next week. If I can find the time, I'll see it. Thanksgiving is next week, so forgive me if I take a week off. I don't know. After that, we have Moana 2. I'm probably seeing that one. And then what's after that? Nosferatu? Okay, I'll check out Nosferatu. I don't mind the Nosferatu. I don't mind that kind of vampire. Plus, I like the director. I think he puts a lot of interesting spins on visual flair. So I definitely want to give that a shot. Otherwise, I feel like this movie really needed more of an advertising push. I don't think a lot of people are going to see it, but it is such a good movie that I just have to tell you, don't even bother looking shit up about it. Just go, just see it, just to have a good time, and then come back, like this video, write a comment about how much you like it, and don't forget to subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a video, and yeah. Do all that, please. It really helps me grow. If you didn't hear it, I'll say it again. Like this video, subscribe, ring that bell, and yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. So, yeah, have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo. The fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost song alone. And I'm just a ghost in your stereo.